You are now watching Maine Wire TV with your host, Tom Shattuck, featuring Maine Wire Editor-in-Chief Steve Robinson and the indispensable Jon Fetherston.
Oh man, we are spread around New England today. I am in bucolic Worcester, Massachusetts, at the elite Hampton Inn. I paid for high-speed internet, almost $6 that Robinson will be getting the bill for. Graham Pollard is at HQ. Jon Fetherston, where exactly are you?
I am in an Augusta Civic Center on the second floor of the Maine GOP convention. They're resetting the conference floor for Senator Tim Scott tonight, who will be the keynote speaker. And it's just been nonstop today. Nonstop, a lot of fun. We're joined by Portland radio legend Ray Richardson. So let me move my chair over.
John, you're confusing your audience when you say legend.
Yeah, so I mean, Ray's been here all day, been talking to the candidates as well and everything like that. So I mean, what do you think, Ray?
Yeah, I got to tell you, today's crowd. Dee and I have been doing this since 2010, every 2 years, and then we've gone out to some of the national conventions. The crowd here today was surprising. The place was almost at capacity, and that's a Friday. Republicans work. You don't normally see Saturday's the big day, but they were here. I think people are ready for change.
So, Ray, let me ask you something. Did you, you mentioned that Republicans work and that there was a lot of activity this morning. From the look of the photos, it really does seem like there's really positive energy, it's tough. I'm here at the Mass Convention in Massachusetts, where I haven't checked in yet, but I assume that there's going to be a lot of low-hung faces and sad, broken people here. But all the pictures that I've seen from up there, people seem to be in really good spirits.
Well, I think part of it is we have some really good gubernatorial candidates.
Yep.
This is the largest field we've had since 2010 when Paul LePage won the primary. All of these guys you can see as the primary winner and running in the fall. And I think we'd be pretty happy with whomever emerges here. Obviously, people have their favorites, but that's energizing for the crowd. They feel like we're going to have a real fighter with a conservative message, taking that message to the people of Maine. And Maine seems ready for it. Whether we do our job or not, I don't know that answer. But Maine seems ready for change if we do our job.
Yeah, and, Maine, along with Minnesota, along with California, well, really along with every blue state right now, just ravaged by fraud and grifting. And it is really demoralizing. It seems like everyday productive Mainers, the ones who you mentioned, Ray, who are working today, they're just getting screwed. There's so many people who seem to be able to cut in line, get benefits that they haven't earned whatsoever. And a lot of Mainers, it seems like, want to get out, but just can't get out. And it's just a kick to morale.
It's so interesting you said that. I've been trying to figure out the slogan. I talk about it every day on my show. We have a text line, and every day, and I'll guarantee you right now, if I looked at it, it's full of people saying, I can't afford to live here. Because of that, I can't save money, so I can't afford to leave. In many ways, I believe this is can't live here, can't leave here campaign. And if we have somebody emerge as the governor, and we have really sharp candidates for the House and the Senate, I truly believe Maine people are ready for this. They know what the problems are because they're living them. What they don't know is why the problems are being created. That's what we've got a message about.
Well, I guess one of the biggest obstacles, and it's the same thing I don't even know if it's the same thing in Massachusetts because I don't like our chances, but one of the obstacles is, of course, for Democrats, all they have to do is run against Trump, or they're going to try to run against Trump. And to what degree do you think that'll be successful?
Well, again, it's how hard do we work?
Nominee?
Well, that's part of it. There's no doubt. But I think part of it is, I'll give you an example. I was out with a hip replacement in December, and Dee and I ran into some people that listened to the show. And one of the guys walked up and said, hey, can I ask you a question? And I said, sure. He said, do you still support Donald Trump? And I said, yeah, I like his ideas. I like what he's trying to do for the country. He said, I hear you rail about the high electricity costs. Trump caused that. Why do you still support him? And I said, that's not true, with all due respect. And he said, what do you mean? And I said, well, may I show you? And I showed him that report where from May of 24 to May of 25, we went up 36.3%. Connecticut was number 2 at half of that at 18.4. And he said, but the Trump subsidies, he cut them. And I said, that's true. This survey was 6 months before the subsidies Trump cut took place December 31, 25. And he looked at me and he said, oh my God, Janet Mills lied to us. So I believe if we
Janet Mills wouldn't lie. I mean,
wow.
she wouldn't. I mean, she said she wouldn't cut taxes.
Does the bear go in the woods?
She wouldn't raise taxes. Didn't she say?
She did twice.
Yeah.
I moderated a debate on October 3rd, 2018, with all 4 general election candidates running, and I asked that question. Maine is beleaguered with taxes. Will you raise taxes? She promised no. She promised again in 22. Right. She's broken her word over and over. We need somebody with not only good ideas, but with integrity. So when they tell us something, we can believe it.
So Janet Mills, you mentioned, is raising taxes. Jonathan Bush is raising money. The front page splash of the Maine Wire today. Bush campaign says GOP candidate has raised more than $2.1 million in Maine governor's race. Jonathan, that shows some damn enthusiasm.
You bet. No, I think, and a strategy choice as well, Tom. I want us to win, and I don't think not doing a sophisticated, aggressive fundraising effort and then thinking you're going to win is the right way to go. I think you got to do. It's miserable to call people and ask them for money, but if you don't do that, if you're not willing to do miserable things to save Maine, then don't play. So I'm glad we ended up way up ahead of the others again in the next reporting. I'm glad to put my own money in. Maine is worth saving. I can't take it with me. And I'm doing this for the long haul so that we actually can win the general and then change the legislature. I mean, the fundraising will never end. We got to keep raising money for state legislature races, state Senate races, for the Maine Policy Institute so that content comes out. You guys did a marvelous job helping people see the value of all the work that Gagnon's team does. Donations have gone up because of the Maine Wire. We've got to keep consolidating those gains and doing the work, convincing business people to not hide from the Republican Party. Donald Trump did a lot for us, but he does sometimes play the fart in church, and it scares away this sort of intelligentsia. We need to keep that crowd on side with us. We need to go back, sit with them at lunch, and ask them for money. And that's what I'm doing in the campaign as well.
I want to echo Jonathan's point here. I'm a good example of it. I've been on the air for 22 and a half years. Matt Gagne at GAN, he speaks his mind every day. The guys up north at VOM do. And every year our revenues are rising. They're not declining. Every year more people are listening. They're not declining. And we're seeing people galvanize around it because they want to hear truth. And so I encourage every business in Maine to get out and stand up with people, find your candidate. Don't be worried about what bad might happen. Stand up for who you believe will tell the truth, and then stand with them. Because while you may run off a few people, you're going to gain a lot more followers, supporters, and customers. I've seen it, and I've seen it. 22 straight years, larger listeners, more revenue. It happens.
Hey, Jonathan, have you seen...
Look at the party enrollment. Have you seen the study on enrollment? I mean, we dropped like a rock from, 2014 to 2020. We lost 14,000 members. But from 2020 to today, we're enrolling 6 new Republicans in Maine for every 1 Democrat. So, there is stuff happening, but it involves, one of the things it involves is doing the needful, doing the ugly, knocking on the doors, making the phone calls, asking for the money, writing a check. That's what we got to do if we want to save our state.
It's great numbers. It's great momentum. I have to ask you, Jonathan, have you seen any more creepy, sweaty, fat guys hiding in the bushes outside of your driveway recently?
I don't know. I guess if you pretend to be a logger, there's a lot you might also do. We love the notoriety, and boy, do we love the mighty Fetherston standing at the door of legit home health care next to legit Troy Jackson. I thought that was poetry in motion. Just so beautiful.
Yeah, it was crazy to watch that happening. I've always gotten along well with Troy, but I told him on air when he was with me one time, you were simply dumber than a bag of hammers. Why do you do this stuff? And he accepted it. He didn't run from me. And he is. I mean, he's an affable guy, but he has done so many bad things for Maine. I can't believe he thinks he should be governor.
Jonathan, we've all talked about all the Medicaid scamming that's going on, and the millions, billions of dollars that are just getting squirreled away, really. And it could be some federal clawback of some of that money. What do you think the immediate result of complete reform, getting rid of the fraud, streamlining the system? What could Mainers expect if you get in there and you straighten it out?
I think the fraud is, and your brilliant work sort of flagging it was great, but it's the canary in the coal mine. The coal mine's got to go. It's going to go. If we get every single legit home health care, type company busted, they're going to grow back unless we find them. It's not fine tuning. It's a radical restructuring. The state cannot be the direct purchaser of rides to the doctor's office. That just creates a Soviet Union type of model that is just, you can do that legally and be totally wasteful of billions of dollars for years without getting fired. It's the illegal parts are the mushroom growing out of the rotten log. It's not the fact that the freaking log is rotten. We got to get rid of the log. We got to get the money out of the state's hands. If we have a safety net. We should have a safety net. We're a rich country. Even as Maine, a poor state, we're a rich state compared to every other country in the world. We should have a safety net. But a safety net is not a lifestyle. It's a temporary chapter in your life where you get the arms of the state around you to get you covered while you get back on your feet. And that care should be delegated to doctors, community clinics, digital health providers that can make split decisions. What's the best way to get rides or home care or groceries? Not this idea that I'm a state contractor. Once you're a state contractor who gets paid every time you give someone a ride, guess what? It's like the hammer and the nail. Everybody needs a ride. Would you be wrong to go to community centers and bingo games with refrigerator magnets saying, we give rides, you're eligible, you're entitled. Why wouldn't you? Even if the people you find, they were fine with their nephew, you showed up with your refrigerator magnet. Yes. And you divided 10 minutes of a nephew's time to $200 of taxpayer dollars. The problem is the structure of the system. The fraud is just the alarm bell.
Yeah, but are you going to be the bad guy who's going to tell some of these people that the entitlement salad days are over and you're going back to your nephew?
I'm going to be a very bad guy. I don't think.
Great answer.
I think it's what did Harry Truman say? I'm not going to give him hell. I'm just going to give him the truth, and the truth is going to give him hell. Yeah. I mean, this is an unsustainable path leading to a quagmire that will devastate our state. It doesn't help anyone. Not putting an addict in jail when they break the law does not help the addict. It not only destroys every business in town and the park they were shooting up in, it destroys the hope that addict can have a moment sober to find God or to find Buddha or whatever those jobs are not bad guy jobs. They're just jobs that no one wants to do. And I've had my crack at the American dream. I've had my comfort days, salad days from here to heaven and back. Somebody's got to draw the line. Somebody's got to be dad here, or we will destroy lives and destroy our economy.
Do you think you've got some increased momentum after wielding the sword of truth today?
I'm telling you, the sword of truth has power. And then I went right over to the steakhouse because our dear Republicans didn't have enough seats for lunch. Oh, well. So we took our team just to make sure we weren't taking other people's seats. We went across the way, and everyone in the restaurant, people not wearing, hey, I like the ads, Shredder. People go, oh, Shredder. People are laughing. They're joking. They're feeling like following my campaign is not scary or bad, but fun and optimistic. So, and this is an ad that is talking about shredding laws, shredding funding, shredding programs, and people view it as fun and optimistic, which it is. I don't mind if they don't. If they hate it, I'm still going to do it. But I think we're spinning it in a way that we can get a lot of people on board.
So before I let you go, last question from me. You're a businessman. You've had lots of businesses. You've brought businesses to Maine.
Yep.
I hear a bipartisan reticence to fully embrace these data centers in Augusta.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I'm ready to kick off the Republicans too. I'm sorry, but we're going to grow. You know, I've got a state rep. It's like, oh, we should keep Sears Island green. Sorry, I want your vote, but that's an industrial site that we've been hand-wringing for, what, 40?
Yeah.
40 years? Yeah. We don't have enough deep water ports. The world needs ships. We should be building them. We have shipbuilding culture here, and we're suffocating our economy by not allowing it. We got what? I don't know what we're up to now. 50 industrial sites that are empty with giant hulking, rusting, with whole wood supply chains, power supply chains, rail supply chains, all connected, rotting to death. I am not a NIMBY, no matter what party is. We have got to grow up and say that we use things. To use things, you have to make things. We should make them cleanly and well, and we should make them in Maine.
Hey, I'm going to actually just call an audible here, Graham, for a second, because somebody in the chat actually has a newsy question, which we should probably ask. What are your thoughts on Mills freezing Medicare payments last Friday? Since Dr. Oz has been breathing down her neck, she has been hitting the brakes a little bit.
Let me tell you something. When I'm governor, I'm going to work with the president for Maine. I am not going to beauty contest with the people of Maine. If I hate the president's guts to high holy hell, I'm going to bite my tongue till it's bleeding. There's a nice salty taste of blood. I'll enjoy the taste of the blood while I work with the president to benefit Maine. That's the job of the governor. The job of the governor is to get shot if necessary. If you're not willing to get annoyed, how are you ready to get shot?
Jonathan, I don't want you or anybody to get shot.
No,
Tom, I want to go.
It's not plan A. My plan A is not to hate the next president, but believe me, but I want to make sure that whoever is governor works with the federal government. Every dollar in Maine is somehow intertwangled with something federal. If you don't coordinate, I mean, my whole Medicaid turnaround plan involves block grants from CMS. They can give that to us if they want to, but you have to sell the business.
Tom, I just got one point in that I'm going to get out. There's a bunch of guys running for governor here.
Oh, and Rob.
But one of the things that I've been really pushing the guys on my show, the guys running for governor, is I think we've got to have every Medicaid provider reapply under a new system because there are so many. And we bring up, Steve has brought up on my show, he's on every Friday, about legit home health care. I almost fell out of my chair laughing with that one. But I think we've got to have them all reapply because there is no accountability with these guys, even if they're legit in the beginning and they aren't.
It's sort of like a massage parlor. We don't do hand jobs massage parlor. Like, why?
I want to be clear. That was a Jonathan Bush comment.
What on earth did you?
And the other thing was just very, very quickly is Jonathan talked about the rotting industrial facilities. We could take 5 small modular nukes, get them up and running in the next 5 years. The entire state. Many of those places already have transmission capability. We could stop this nonsense.
Wisconsin's a nuclear site. It's already got waste.
You take it over. I don't know.
No, we got to get the other candidates.
Yeah, we got to get these other guys in there. But
Jonathan, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jonathan. Much appreciated.
Jumping in. Kenny.
Matt, I don't know if you're manning the names on John's screen, but you got your work cut out for you. Adding like 3 people.
Owen McCarthy is here, and Robert Wessels is here as well. Hi, fellas. How's the energy there?
Oh, it's amazing. I feel like it's really cliche to say it, but a turning point moment. Everyone is fired up, ready to go, ready to change the state. So
ready to vote for Robert.
Oh, really? I got a different vibe out there, Rob.
I can tell you, Rob, your merch game is pretty solid. We saw Fetherston has been documenting all that merch you have there. Very nice.
Yes, absolutely.
So let me ask you, Owen.
Yeah.
To start off, there was a consensus among us guys anyway that debate night was you had a surprise. I mean, a surprise because we were surprised. Really good night out of nowhere, kind of that night. Have you seen momentum since then?
A lot of momentum. Well, first of all, you're seeing the sort of truth here, and
yes.
hopefully we can bring the sort of truth to a gunfight here in Augusta and win back the state. And I have seen a lot of momentum. I've seen it in fundraising. I've seen it in people signing up to volunteer. I've seen it in all the debates on the comments section of Facebook. And we're going to ride that June 9th, right? So I think it was a big moment for the campaign. But, you say a surprise, Tom, like we put in the work to get to the point where we could deliver, right? And that's sort of, what our campaign's all about.
So for you, what are your fundraising goals? What do you have to do now heading in to the big day?
Well, so we got to get up on TV. We're going to get up on TV we have a couple of ads. We're going to be able to reach enough primary voters so they hear the message, about how we're going to bring opportunity, affordability, and discipline into the state, and give them a chance to say Owen's the guy to win. And we've got the dollars to do that. And any more to go will help spread it even further. But we feel good heading into the stretch that we'll be able to talk to enough people.
So, we just talked to Jonathan, and he talked about taking this sort of truth to the fraudsters. It has been a standing headline for us. But this money just being stolen and wasted. What is Owen McCarthy's instant fix to that?
Well, we have all the data. As the governor, you have all the data of everything that's happening, and you can really find patterns of where the fraudsters are. I mean, the Maine Wire, Steve Robinson, Tom, and Graham, you guys have taken the data that you can find, flagged the companies by name and otherwise, and been able to pinpoint them. Imagine if you had all that the government had. We can find the fraudsters in a week. Then we need to make sure that we go after them, and then someone needs to go to jail, right? And we do that and send the money back to the people. We're in really good shape, Tom. I mean,
hey,
though has been out with John on some of these cases, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We had a great time. But do you know what the missing link is right now? Right, the missing piece. You guys have brought so much to the surface and to the attention of Maine. The missing piece is the desire to do something with it, right? And that's where we're getting stuck right now. Right now, the person sitting in the Blaine House has zero desire to find fraud, right? Like, again, the fraud's already been found, right? Zero desire to do anything with that information. So the reality is that any of us who get into the Blaine House next are able to just go take that information and move on it. Because any normal business person, when you find out that there's something going on internally or there's something going on that's wrong, you're going to dig into that. You're going to address that, and you're going to fix that. For some reason, with this Democratic leadership, it's theoretically acceptable, right, in their mind to do nothing about it. No, you look into this stuff and you validate and figure out, is this real? And I fully expect that we will find out that it is absolutely real, and it is a lot bigger than we're seeing right now.
I mean, consequences are the deterrent strategy, right? Like, people need to be in handcuffs for or more and more people are going to say, well, why don't I try a little bit of this? And we're going to lose the rule of law, which we've started to in society. And that's no good. I mean, that's one of the fundamental things government does.
Yeah. Hey, guys, not to change the topic here, but we do have a little bit of breaking news, and I want to kind of run this by you guys. I'll start with you, Robert. But I think this happened maybe an hour ago. I just saw it now. But Janet Mills has vetoed the data center moratorium bill. So what do you think about that, Robert? Is that something you would have vetoed too as governor? And what's your general policy towards the data centers? And then after you answer, kick it over to Owen.
That is breaking news. So the reality is, yes, that's one of the few that I actually do agree with Janet on. And it's not because I love AI data centers. I'm undecided on that. It's because I believe in the local rule, right? And so if a particular town someplace sits there and says, hey, an AI data center would be perfect for our location. We have all the power we need. We have all the water we need. We don't, this is it. This is what we need for our municipality. I think they should have the ability to make that decision on a local level. I don't believe Big Brother State should be going, nope, not my, nope. Again, we need to go back to local rule. And Augusta, we need small Augusta. We need to shrink it. And this was just one other way that they're trying to take power in Augusta. And so it's one of the rare times I will say I agree with her decision on that.
Yeah, it's a clear veto for me too, Graham. I think, if you think of the state of Maine, we always talk, electricity costs are so high that the only data centers that are going to come into this state are ones that are either going to be able to find behind the meter power or generate their own power or find some arrangement to bring more power on the grid that will not hurt the citizens of Maine. Like, I don't want people's electricity prices to go up. I don't want to give welfare checks to data center developers, right, for sweet deals for them to do it. I want to make sure that the ones that come in is because the free market says they should be there. And if that's the case with how expensive our electricity is, they're going to create jobs. They're going to pay into property tax and help the local citizens. And it's like 30% of the investment in CapEx in society, and we should make sure we participate in that. But it's not carte blanche with data centers. We're not rolling out the red carpet and giving them the salad plant deal in Westbrook, right? Like, we're making sure they can stand on their own.
So we've got a commenter here. Sorry, Graham, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Tom.
A commenter says, no data centers. This is Danielle. No data centers. The cost to human and animal health should matter more than AI.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, in the view of the state of Maine, I think that AI is rapidly expanding, and we have 1.4 million people. And if we don't think about how we participate in a way that trains our people and that they can get ahead, we're going to get left behind. And I know there's some, there's energy consequences. There's some water consequences, though. I used to work in water treatment, actually, and like, you can recycle water and put it back into the ground in a way that's like environmentally friendly. And so I think some of those can be mitigated. And so I think that, we need to make sure we participate in the fourth industrial revolution in a way that we get ahead and not like we did in the third industrial revolution.
And Robert, how do you signal to these tech companies that you're on board, that we are a data center friendly state?
Again, I think it's the same with any other business, right? And Owen just alluded to the cost of electricity in the state of Maine. And how do we do that? The reality is everything that Maine is signaling to every company is stay away, we don't want you, right? And so we start by immediately going after regulations, unnecessary and costly regulations that are around the state. We have so many that are turning companies away. They would just be crazy to come here. And then you have the energy prices. So we have to address the energy prices and make it realistic for any company to come here. Again, you have, hey, look at that.
Look at this guy. Yeah, he wields it
Great photo right there.
He wields the sword of truth well.
We had a great time with the sword today. But the reality is, no matter the business, whether that's AI, every business is going to have different things. AI is obviously, we know, water and energy heavy. And so the reality is every business will have its own area, but every business needs smaller regulations where they're able to actually run their business and they're able to keep their costs low and they're able to afford the help, and the help can have housing and property taxes are lower, all of which we're failing at. And so we have to make Maine business friendly again, whether that's AI or any other business.
And Steve Robinson has just joined. I'm going to add Steve in right now. What's up, Steve?
What's going on, guys?
Steve, we have a new Robinson
Hey,
on the page
Robert.
yet? Do you have a baby yet?
No, I don't. We're on labor watch though. Knocking on the door any moment now.
All right.
Could
but
run
we'll
out
be-
in this interview even.
Yeah, we'll be grinding right up until the final moments.
Understood.
She's probably the most famous baby in the state of Maine at this moment. Everybody's on pins and needles. I wanted to have her in time for the Republican convention so I could be like Mufasa in Lion King.
Lion King.
Savannah. She'll probably be a liberal though.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Steve. Parenting doesn't change a thing.
Yeah.
Basic truth.
I thought you were an honest man, Robert Russell. So that's
So, it's funny in the chat here, Amy Sussman has stolen my next question for you. She says the best is the camaraderie of these candidates. Maine and the GOP need this, in my opinion, working together for the general election. And I kind of feel like there is kind of an esprit de corps among you guys, perhaps with the exception of David Jones and Bobby Charles. But you guys seem to be having a good time and having
blast. Yeah.
Rapport.
Do you know what? You want to know my favorite story like that?
Sure.
I'm going to
Is
tell
it
you
on?
no, that one too.
Okay.
We went to the Dexter Hot Dog Festival, Red Hot Dog Festival last
Really?
summer, right? It was a great time. Spent some number of hours there, and actually I met Steve's dad there.
What?
And, as we were leaving, Owen and his family were coming in, and I gave him some bubbles, and yeah, as we're heading out of town. Was it the next week? Owen came and he goes, "I didn't realize those were Wessel's bubbles. They had a Wessel's logo." He's like, "The kids were playing with the Wessel's bubbles for weeks," and I'm like, "Do they need a refill?" We've had a great time. It really is, and the reality is, right? If any of us get in, it is far better than what's on the other side, and we have to remember that. And we have to, to me, we have to keep the perspective, and Republicans have to win in November.
Yeah, and Tom, for me, I've taken the strategy and running for something, right? You guys I've got the plan. I got some ideas. I want to talk about what we can do to change the state, and my differentiators, right? I've been trying to be clear about that without knocking down the Robert Wessels of the world, because on the other side of this, we need to come together and win. I don't say that cliche. I know it's going to be hard because there is a little tension that starts to build right about now, and there will be some hurt feelings. We're going to have to patch those on the other side, but it feels a lot like a McCarthy family reunion, Tom, which there's a little fight that breaks out every time. So,
who ended up winning that cornhole tournament you guys did a couple of weeks ago?
Oh, not us. The ring if you put $1,000 prize on a cornhole tournament, the ringers show up.
There's
guys,
some amazing colors. Holy cow.
So it wasn't the gubernatorial candidates.
Oh, that's funny.
I walked in and I thought, oh, I'm pretty decent at cornhole. And then I watched the first 10 holes, the first 10 throws were in the hole. I'm like, I'm out, man. I'm like, wow. So it was there for a good time anyway.
All right, well, John hasn't got out the sort of truth yet, but he's getting his shepherd's hook out, it seems like, and he's throwing us out of here. So
Robert's got the story.
Well, thank you, guys.
We appreciate your time. Thank you, Robert Wessels, Owen McCarthy. Have fun.
Thank you, guys.
Come on over, guys. Hey, guys, I've got two other guests that have been waiting here. Kenny Chichette, who is running for state senate, and Vern are going to come over and just give us 2 minutes on, their thoughts on the convention. Come on over, guys. Come on over.
Here we go. Hey guys, how's it going?
How's it going?
How are you?
Just introduce
Am I in the picture? Yeah, I'm in the picture. Look at that. There you go. Friend, you got to come over here, buddy. Hey guys, so Steve. This is Vern. I'm Kenny. So,
hey gentlemen.
How's the convention going so far?
How's the convention going so far? So far, so good. No fighting. Nobody's at each other's throats. We have a sword here. It's not been used, so that's a good thing. So,
I don't know. I was kind
plenty of time left.
A little more fighting going on, but no, everyone's been kind of nice to each other today. So we'll see what happens tomorrow.
So, Kenny, what does the Maine Wire TV audience need to know about you and your candidacy, and what you intend to bring to the position?
Yeah, for my candidacy, sorry, I got distracted there for a second. My candidacy, I'm running in Windham, Westbrook, Raymond, Casco, and Fry Island. Running for District 26 in the Maine State Senate. It's held by Tim Nangle, who's not a very nice guy, and it was a longtime seat of Bill Diamond's, and I actually have Bill Diamond's daughter as my campaign treasurer, who's a longtime Democrat. His wife has come out and fully endorsed me as well. Bill has passed, sadly. I've not been tasked with taking over the mission for Bill with fighting back against DHHS, but kind of de facto, as a result of me coming from Windham, I was supporting Bill with his organization before he passed, raising hundreds of thousands of dollars for him to fight back against the HHS, but Janet Mills didn't want that, so Janet Mills gets what she wants. So I'm coming back. I ran 2 years ago with the message of I'm a successful person, I'm a great community leader, and the Democrats took me out at the kneecaps, or tried to, and I barely lost. And this time I'm coming for blood with the Dems. They're ruthless people. They will sacrifice their firstborns. And speaking of Stephen kids, they'd sacrifice their firstborns to keep a Senate seat. And I have full intention of going after them with everything I've got this fall. I've got a primary opponent. He's a very nice guy, but he doesn't seem to understand that. Unfortunately, the way politics is, whether you like it or not, it's ruthless now. And I'm a fighter, and I will take the fight not only to the Democrats this fall. I'm hoping that we flip everything, the House, the Senate, and the governorship. That would be a much easier path, but I can assure you this much, if for some reason we aren't able to get the Blaine House, I will be a pain in the rear end for the Democrats. So everybody needs me up there. I don't need this in my life. I'm doing this because I love my state, and I'm tired of what they've done to it, and we're going to fix it one step at a time.
Where do people go if they want to support you?
You can go to kennyforsenate.com or go to Kenny for Senate on Facebook and Instagram. Like I said, ran 2 years ago. Got a lot of support, a lot of stuff going on. Common Sense for Maine has endorsed me. I have another big endorsement coming in the next week or so. And like I said, we're gearing up. I know why we lost last time, and we fixed the weaknesses. So, Steve, I think there was a former teammate of yours that you and I have, our mutual friend, Paul Hinman. And so, in football as anywhere else, you gotta handle your weaknesses. You've got to either disguise them or upgrade them. And so we're taking care of the weaknesses on why we lost last time. And this time we're gonna sprint right through the line of scrimmage into the end zone and spike the football right down their gosh darn throat. So
here we go. All right, Vern. Same question for you. What's your deal, and what do Mainers need to know?
What's my deal? I actually do the Ray Richardson show with him on every Monday, and then I'm on Wednesdays. I am a business owner, and I've been doing the radio show for 4 years now, and I have 3 grown children that for the first time in their lives are considering leaving the state of Maine, and that's the last thing I want. I want my kids to stay here, but everything has become so difficult. It just doesn't make any sense really to me, because this is by far, I think, the greatest state in the union. And I used to be a truck driver, and I've been all over the country. And there's nothing like crossing over that bridge and coming home to Maine. And anyone who's left Maine and then came back, you have that feeling. You get over that bridge, and all of a sudden, I'm home. And I've been from the bottom of Maine all the way up to the top of Maine. And no matter where I've gone, I've found just phenomenal human beings, great people, rich people, poor people, people you don't even know have money, down-to-earth people. And I really want this state to, go back to where it was 20 years ago, before Barack Obama came around, because I think once Barack Obama became president, he kind of ruined everything. We started going backwards. All of a sudden race became an issue again, and, and it really sucks, really. I was quite happy with the way our society was changing, and now here we are. It seems like
Vern, do you feel like that there's that people feel that energy, like this is a change?
Absolutely. I say this all the time on the radio that, as of 2 weeks ago, I know 10 people who, if the Republicans lose this race, they're moving. And, they're not just, people who live here, they're people who own businesses. So not only are they leaving, but they're taking their business with them. Like, we look at the number of businesses that have left already, right? And in this week alone, I've had 2 other people who I've talked to that are saying the same thing. They're going to leave. And, we can't keep losing business in the state of Maine. We can't keep making it hard for businesses. I ran a restaurant, and, it's hard enough that we can't find people to work. But then the state is doing everything it possibly can to make it even harder for you, because you can't get those people to come back to work, because they can sit on, welfare and make more money on welfare than they can if they work a job. So a lot of the rules and regulations, a lot of the changes that they've made have done this state some serious harm, and they seem to be too daggone stupid to realize it, unfortunately.
Yeah. Vern, where do people go to learn more about your campaign or help out?
I'm not a candidate.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I thought you were.
I do a radio show with Ray Richardson. So,
run for something.
Ray Richardson show on Monday mornings from 7 to 10. That's what I'm on.
Thank you, Vern. Appreciate
it. It's 8 to 10. Yeah.
Amazing. All right. We also have Christina Parker, communications director for the Maine GOP. Sounds like rave reviews for the convention so far. How's it going from your end?
I think it's gone, incredible. And I know you guys know that the Sort of Truth Luncheon was a smashing success.
Big hit.
Get more chairs, more tables, more food for everybody who wanted to come hang out with Jon.
That's great. So what's on tonight and what's on tomorrow for day 2?
Yes. So tonight, right now, I'm looking out at the Civic Center, and they're setting up banquet tables for our Friday night banquet. And our keynote speaker is Senator Tim Scott from believe, South Carolina. He's going to come speak. So we're very excited about that. We announced a couple of days ago that he would be coming to speak. And also tomorrow, I mean, we have a packed day again. We have a luncheon, again, with a panel of political strategists, which is going to be awesome. We're going to hear from 6 out of 7 of the gubernatorial candidates. And Robert Wessel spoke today, and then we heard from LePage and Senator Collins and the other candidates for congressional districts today. But tomorrow we hear from all the gubernatorial candidates. We have a couple other businessy type things that we're going to get to. And I especially am excited because we have a podcast studio on the convention floor for the Wicked Smart podcast, and I have a couple episodes lined up. So I personally am excited to record those as well.
Very nice. It does certainly seem like there's a it's. I have FOMO. I can tell you. I'm here in.
That was the goal.
I'm in Worcester, Massachusetts, and the energy at here is not quite like it is there. I do think one of the reasons is that there's such a talent pool. There's such a talent pool of gubernatorial candidates the GOP has. There's a lot of talent there and a lot of different personalities.
And all different career backgrounds.
Yeah. But it's all super smart, and they all have really good plans.
And they can beat those Nepo babies any day.
Right.
That works for me, Graham, unless you get something.
No, yeah. Just are tickets still available if anyone wants to go to the event tomorrow who hasn't got tickets yet, Christina?
For people who signed up to be delegates who haven't paid their delegate fees yet and still want to come out and they haven't made it yet today, they could do that. But I have to say I'm not 100% sure about guest passes. That is not my forte. I tell people I make the videos. I don't plan the convention.
Christina Parker, thank you so much. Vern, I'm voting for you anyway. I don't care.
Brother.
Thank you, man.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Hey, pleasure, as always.
Always.
All right, John, the king of wrangling. It's impressive to watch the magic happen.
It's a great too.
We've got some more people in the queue. They just haven't made their way up the stairs yet. We're kind of in an obscure location, but I'm told they're efforting. But I got to tell you, yeah, I've been to a lot of conventions over the years, and I went to a lot of Mass GOP conventions, and the energy that I've seen here today is much, much different than like Tom's indicating, like with Mass GOP. I mean, there's optimism here. And, one thing that when, I don't want to make it about me, but one thing, there was 350, maybe 400 people that came to the Sword of Truth luncheon. And every single person said complimentary things about the Maine Wire. So I asked if everybody come to the convention today, come to the convention tomorrow, take Sunday off, but Monday morning, and I stole a line from Tom, I need 35 seconds of your spare time Monday morning. Go to whitehouse.gov and send an email to the President of the United States and say, we have a fraud problem in Maine. Send help. And that's exactly what I asked them to do. I go, if the White House receives 150 emails from Maine on Monday morning saying, please send help, we have a fraud problem, people will start being held accountable. But until then, nobody's going to be held accountable.
Yeah, isn't that the thing? Like, it's so funny because all the hard work that the Maine Wires put in, that Steve, and Seamus, and you, and the whole team have put in, and it could be like a watershed moment if there's some validation for it.
Yeah,
and
I know.
Asses are kicked and somebody goes to jail. But if nobody pays anything for any of this, then it's a freaking tragedy. It really is.
What I'm seeing all the time, like on the Luna home care video, it has like 140,000 views on Facebook, and it got an unbelievable reaction, as it should have. But a lot of the comments are like, John, we've seen like 20 videos of this. When is there going to be any accountability? Where are the fruits of the labor? And it's like, there is no reply to that because nothing has happened, unfortunately. It's like, what else do you really need? And then the Dr. Oz warning, I guess is a good thing, but that's another one. I've kind of lost track of the amount of warnings that have been given across the brow. So, yeah.
It's people see people in handcuffs, they don't believe that it's true. They know that our reporting is factual. They know our reporting is factual, but until there's consequences and people in handcuffs, and Elon Omar maybe possibly gets deported or something, and people are held accountable in Lewiston and Portland and Bangor for committing Maine care fraud. We're the three fools because we haven't opened up our own home health care agency.
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, not yet.
That's right.
Right.
Well, and it's also it's a national story as well. People are like, why is like Brennan, Stephen Brennan, the former CIA guys?
Yep.
Why is he not incarcerated? It's amazing. Why isn't Mayorkas incarcerated? Like, where are these people's life? Why aren't they hounded? Why aren't their lives like? Well, the problem is, of course, I think is that activist judges hate Trump, and all that matters is going after Trump. But Trump isn't in Maine, so hopefully there can be reckoning in Maine, and voters deserve it. People need to be perp walked. These freaking G-Wagons and all this stuff that is happening here, it's disgusting. This flouting, and I don't care what they say who this dude was. This dude flouting all his cash, his ill-gotten cash. It's an FU to hardworking people who, as we've talked today about, many of them can't leave. They're just frigging stuck, and they're noticing that the stuff is not. It's just not fair. And you need to have a level of fairness in a society, or else everything just gets degraded and then broken and crumbles.
Yeah.
Susan Collins, I just have to, highlight Susan Collins and Governor LePage both gave excellent speeches today. And then I snipped some of the stuff and sent some of the grant, but I have them in their entirety. Susan Collins, I got to tell you, she gave a great, passionate speech.
Yeah.
She talked about, going back in time and, and she referred to Chuck Schumer as Goofy, the Disney character Goofy. And she took a kind of a little bit of a shot at Graham Plattner and says, hey, if you cover up a tattoo, you still have that tattoo. So, I mean, it's interesting to see, that is ratcheting up. Governor LePage was classic Governor LePage. Hey, you might not like what I say, but you can't have a problem with what I say because it's true and it's factual. And I'm a fighter, and he's running to be a congressman in Maine because Maine needs jobs. He doesn't need a job, but Maine needs jobs. So people were fired up. People were good to see. It was great energy. Susan Collins was holding the sword of truth, and we'll get Governor LePage to hold the sword of truth too. So it's been a great day, and the energy's just been phenomenal.
Hey, John, how good was that intro video for Paul LePage?
Well, you just took the words right out of my mouth. As soon as people heard Steve's voice, it was a round of applause because they just knew it was Steve, and it was a round of applause. And Governor LePage gave Steve a very nice shout out and told everybody why Steve wasn't here today, and the important reason why Steve wasn't here today. And Steve got a great round of applause. And I got to tell you, there were 350 plus people at our lunch, and all 350 people, I shook their hands as they were coming in the door, and they all watched Maine Wire TV. So.
Can we grab this intro video? Do we have it? Did it come out of our creative shop?
It did. I will send it over to Matt. Give me 1 second. It's really good. It's worth playing. Hold on 1 second.
Really, yeah. It's really.
That is good to hear. That is good to hear. So, Steve, I'm in Worcester, Massachusetts. Don't get too jealous at the Massachusetts convention to see who's going to be nominated to get defeated by Maura Healey, which is horrifically nauseating.
It's so true, though. It's so true, though.
It's terrible. But I've got to say, Steve, you've been busy, but I think the caliber of candidate up in Maine for a governor, there's some real talent there. Jonathan Bush mentioned the hand job freaking 30 minutes ago. It's like, that's a unique personality. He is an interesting cat. There's a lot of unique personalities there, and all of them, to me, scream of at least competence and not overt insanity. And right now, that's like winning the jackpot.
Well, yeah, when I interviewed him for the Robinson Report podcast, one of the questions that I asked every single candidate was, are you going to be like Bruce Poliquin after the 2010 election, or are you going to be like Les Otten? And obviously he didn't mean any disrespect to Les Otten, wherever the hell he is, but he dropped off the face of the map. He's spending a lot of money to become governor in a competitive primary, and he's like as Maine as blueberries and lobster, and he loves this state and he cares about this state, but he loses the chance to be the top dog, and he just disappears and no one ever hears from him again. And I don't know if he's done anything to support conservative causes or the Republican Party since then. So maybe he has in very secret, subtle, hidden ways. Bruce Poliquin, on the other hand, goes and he's the treasurer for Governor LePage, does some great things, really expands the role of the office of the treasurer, goes after the Maine Housing Authority, corruption there, the Maine Turnpike Authority, corruption there, like really becomes an integral part of the LePage era reforms, and then goes on obviously to be a congressman from Northern Maine and is still involved, still contributing to the conservative movement in the state, even though he lost a chance to be the top dog in the Blaine house like he wanted to be. So the reason why I asked that question, are you going to be a Les Otten or are you going to be a Bruce Poliquin, is because what you see on the left is they'll have their primary, they'll be nasty and passive aggressive, and they'll fight, and maybe there'll be some attack ads, but at the end of the day, they all fall in line 100% across the board. Like, you're not going to see Shenna Bellows pick her ball up and go home if she loses that race. You're not going to see Troy Jackson pick his ball up and go home. Every single one of them, mostly because their livelihoods and their sense of purpose in life and all their meaning flows through government and their proximity to power, but they're going to stay on the same team. They're going to fall in line. Whereas the risk on the conservative side is that if they lose the primary, they just say, all right, screw it. I'm going back to my business, going back to my family. I'm not going to be out there rallying the troops. And that puts conservatives at a massive disadvantage. So there is a lot of energy. There is a lot of talent. Every single one of the Republican candidates brings something unique to the table, but are they going to walk away if they're not the top guy after the primary? That's the risk. So the focus of the convention, I would think, or if I was, in charge of running any kind of party dynamic, would be like, yeah, you know what? We're going to jump in the ring. We're going to slap each other around a little bit. We're going to criticize each other. We're going to try to compete like gentlemen for the top spot. But if we lose, we still understand what's in the best interest of the state. And we actually believe the things we're saying about this being an existential fight for the state of Maine. So we're going to fall in line behind whoever the voters decide is going to be the nominee. And we're going to work our tails off to try to make sure that they are successful in their endeavor to win in 2026. That's what I would like to see, just because I do care about the fate of the state. And I know that regardless of who wins, their chances of winning in the fall improve drastically if they have the support of all those other talented people who have thrown their hat in the ring.
So Mary said, okay, you want to play this? This is the LePage open.
Yeah, sorry that jumped in there. The StreamYard is annoying about that, but we'll run it here. Great video here from Steve.
Before 2010, the political establishment in Augusta thought they had a monopoly on power. Tax the working class, expand the welfare state, and kick the state's massive debts down the road. Then came Paul LePage. He didn't come from a country club. He came from the streets of Lewiston, clawed his way into business, and proved as a mayor of Waterville that you could run a mill town without bankrupting it. When he won the Blaine House in 2010 and shocked the media by winning it again in 2014, he didn't go to Augusta to make friends. He went there to fix the math. For 8 years, it was a daily bare-knuckle brawl for fiscal sanity. He paid off the state's massive hospital debt. He delivered historic tax cuts. He reformed a broken pension system. And most importantly, he fought the welfare industrial complex block by block and vetoed Medicaid expansion over and over again. He gave the people of Maine a warning. LePage said that if Maine abandoned his fiscal discipline, if they opened the floodgate on welfare and expanded MaineCare, the budget would explode. Inflation would crush the middle class, and the state would become a magnet for dependency. Look at Maine today. Everything he predicted came true. The state budget has ballooned by billions. Medicaid rolls are swelling. The surplus he built was set on fire by the Mills administration to fund an ever-expanding government. He was right about Augusta. Now, the same exact crisis is playing out in Washington, D.C., but with trillions of dollars on the line, the very sovereignty of our country at stake, and the political establishment once again trying to destroy and undermine President Donald Trump. Who better to send to Washington, D.C. than the man who for 8 years stood in the breach protecting Mainers from the calamity of liberal extremism. Who better to stand up for Mainers in the 2nd Congressional District than Governor Paul LePage?
Boom.
I'm ready to run through a wall.
Yeah,
I'm
no
ready.
Fired up after that one.
Jesus.
It was good. It wasn't quite as good as Tom's video in the lead up to the debate. That was an all timer. But hey,
Well, I had Pollard.
Katrina Smith from Palermo has joined us. Hey, Katrina.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Graham.
Hey, Katrina, how are you?
I know you're a fan. Good. How are you?
Good.
Having a great day at the convention. People are upbeat, so appreciative. You know, these the cream of the crop of Republicans, and they know what's going on, and it's been great to talk to them all day long.
What's been the highlight of the day, Katrina?
Really, just the people. I mean, they want to engage. They want to talk. They want to be enthusiastic. They even want to donate. So, you know, it's just great to see them all in one place and really get that energy going. We had some great candidates. We had a lot of them here today, so it's good to get them here.
How was Jon Fetherston, his behavior-wise and content-wise?
I have seen him be a perfect gentleman every time. I have heard that his lunch was very well attended, and they had a great time as well. You know, big fans, of course, in the Maine Wire here. Like I said, they're very educated, and they read everything that's going on and keep up to date on stuff. So they rely on you for sure.
John, what were the entrees at the luncheon?
We had chicken. They had some rice. I actually didn't get to eat because it was such a capacity-filled crowd.
Yes.
It was so good, but I mean, everybody had a good time. They had salad, they had good stuff. But you know, we did a kind of a question and answer session a little bit, and it was great group participation. People really appreciate Steve's reporting on triad weed, and they're deeply concerned about Maine care fraud. And I had a lot of people come up to me and say, John, the work you're doing, and Steve is doing with the special needs community is very much well appreciated. People are, can I say this? People are pissed. They're pissed, and it's nice to. You never want people to be that way, but it's finally nice that they are that way, because maybe we're going to do something different, right?
I hope it's actually reached a point where they are. I can't wait for this primary to be over so we can really see what the numbers are and how people have come out. I think that's going to be an important part of our strategy going forward, and knowing how to reach people too, whoever they vote for.
Gina, let me ask you. I'm an outsider. I'm new to the state. I remember Paul LePage coming onto the scene and being in the top 5 just extraordinary personalities, maybe the most extraordinary in 2010 in the country as a candidate. And he said stuff you're not supposed to say. And he was like so direct and human for people that it was just a rare thing. How do Maine voters go from embracing him to embracing Janet Mills? How does that work? Because some must have moved, right? Or did they just move into Maine?
Yeah, I was going to say, are they Mainers, or were they people that call themselves Mainers because they just moved in? I think we saw that shift. I think that people still have an appetite for that. Just, we're straight talkers, and I think that's what they appreciated about Paul LePage. Someone who says what they're thinking, right? But
yes.
We don't have as many of them. I hope that we have enough still in our districts to get us over the line. But it's definitely different. We've all seen it. COVID.
So Katrina, it's kind of a tale of two Tims between the Republican and the Democrat convention. What message do you think it's sending that the Democrats thought it was a good idea to bring Tim Walz in, the father of fraud, as their keynote speaker?
I don't know. I don't understand them. How would you think that is something that you can possibly do? It shows how much of a vacuum that they operate in. Literally, they don't turn on anything but their own MSNBC or something like that. how could you make, I mean, we always think about, I don't want to take a picture with this person. Maybe it will look a little wonky or something. We'll kind of hold off on that. And then they invite Tim Walz. Are they going to do a reception line, taking a picture with them as well? You know, I mean, I want to see those pictures. So I hope someone gets in there to see that. Who's excited to take a picture with Tim Walz? It's just,
I'll get Tim Walz to hold the sword of truth. Don't worry.
yeah.
Don't worry. I'll get it.
You better not put a sword near him, but
Oh my goodness, no comment.
Yeah.
Katrina, thank you.
yeah, thanks. Thank you guys.
All right, Steve Robinson.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Good to see you.
ya.
Thank you so much. Steve, you know, we have asked you this question before, actually. Like, is the look and feel of Maine close enough to what it was in 2010 to ever vote a LePage kind of guy in? I mean, there are some characters running for governor right now. There's no doubt about that. But actually, 2010 is pre-Trump, so now LePage would be considered Trumpy. So would that work anymore?
Well, I was just going to say, I remember being in Augusta when we had a remote broadcast with Howie, and we were Governor LePage joined us in studio at WVOM's. They have a studio in Augusta, and I remember he had endorsed Chris Christie because Chris Christie at the time was running the Republican Governors Association and was instrumental in LePage getting reelected in 2014, and he's a loyal guy, so he endorsed Chris Christie. As soon as Christie dropped out, he endorsed Paul LePage. But when we had him in studio, we tossed him a MAGA hat to see if he would put it on. He was, yeah, of course, throws the MAGA hat on, and he said something that has stuck with me. That he says, "I was Trump before Trump was Trump."
Yeah,
and in a lot of ways, that was true, in that he said the things that you're not supposed to say. He spoke blunt truths. He was provocative, sometimes not intentionally, sometimes a little self-defeating. But you know, so was Trump. Is the recipe right for another 2010? I don't think so. I think it's a different dynamic. It's a dynamic that could certainly lead to the election of a Republican, but in 2010, the overwhelming focus, it was a nationalized election. It was a Tea Party wave. It was backlash against Obamacare and some of the radical left things that the federal government was doing. You have a different kind of federal dynamic now, but I think that locally, things in Maine have gotten so bad that you could see a different rebellion against progressivism that starts at the grassroots level, that starts at the town politics, the school politics, the state house. I think that you're going to see a lot of moderate Democrats and independent voters who, they don't agree with what's happening in Washington, D.C. or Trump, but they're smart enough to make the distinction that 8 years of progressivism has turned Maine into a shithole. Plain and simple. That 8 years of progressivism has turned Maine into a shithole. There's needles everywhere. Our cities are destroyed. Nothing has gotten better. I've said this a dozen times now in different forums, but tell me the measure of political science, social science, economics, whatever it is, tell me the measure by which Maine has gotten better in 8 years. I have yet to hear from anything. I mean, even Shinna Bellows admits the schools have been destroyed by 8 years of progressive government. Graham Plattner and all the progressive candidates, all they can do is talk about how things aren't affordable. Well, geez, 8 years of progressive government, and nobody can afford electricity and home energy or to go out to eat. And even if you could go out to eat, all the restaurants are closed because there's vagrants throwing shit and screaming at people with broken beer bottles in front of the nice taquerios. There's nothing in Maine has gotten better as a result of Governor Mills and 8 years of progressivism, and they can't make the argument that anything has gotten better. It's up to the conservatives to press that case over and over again and make that argument that your life is shittier because of Democrats. Wherever you are in the state of Maine, your life is shittier because of Democrats, unless you're an illegal alien Medicaid fraudster driving a Mercedes G-Wagon.
Yeah, and they're not. Unfortunately, that seems to be where the priority is these days.
There's a relation between the two. If you're keeping track at home, for 8 years, the Mills administration prioritized the interests of new Mainers and illegal aliens and bogus asylum seekers and radical fringe leftist they/them people. And that's why, working people, normal people, people who are just trying to survive and enjoy their families were put at the back of the line by the Mills administration. And then they got the shittiest part of the shittification of Maine by Governor Mills.
Well,
if you want to know how I really feel.
Yeah. Let's see. I think we have to like label this differently, Graham, for YouTube. I believe we went
Yeah,
around.
not for kids, not made for kids on this episode. Is a sensitivity warning.
It was good though. All right, guys, we'll let Featherston get back to it, and unless anybody has anything else, I'm ready to wrap it up.
I'm told I'm going
Thank you, John. Appreciate your sweeping convention coverage.
I'm told I'm going to have an exclusive with Senator Scott. So look forward to that. We'll have
great
that coming. So,
fantastic.
Yep.
Awesome.
Maine GOP has been very, very good to the Maine Wire today. So very good.
Excellent.
That is great. Well, for Jon Fetherston of the Maine Wire, Graham Pollard, Steve Robinson of the Robinson Report. Check out the Robinson Report today's latest on Janet Mills making an emergency adjustment, because Dr. Oz is in hot pursuit. And go to mainwire.com. We are Maine Wire TV. You can hear us every day at 4 p.m. It is Robinson, Graham, Pollard, and Shattuck and Featherston today. Graham and Pollard, right here on Maine Wire TV.